Hey, ladies, welcome to episode 87 of the Health, Life, and More for Women podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer D'Amato. And as you can tell, we still do not have a new intro, but that's okay. It's just me. And since I do love to talk, I think I can introduce myself. I am your podcast host. I'm also a wife of almost 20 years. That's crazy. I have 4 daughters. I'm also an intuitive eating counselor and coach, helping women redefine their health using the principles of intuitive eating so they can be more confident in their food choices and their body. Today, I want to talk about who are you sleeping with? Ooh, if that's not tongue-in-cheek and a loaded question. Now, like I said in my intro, I've been married for almost 20 years, so in my bed has been one man, and most of the time, that is wonderful. We have a king-size bed, so there's plenty of room. We also have a tuft and needle mattress, so, when you move around, you don't notice the other person. And let me tell you, neither of us are complaining about the space and the fact that we're not waking each other up. However, that's not who I want to talk about. No, I think there's a lot of people sleeping with someone else. I think they're getting in bed, pulling up the covers, and inviting this into their bed. Yeah, maybe it's you. I know for me, for a long time, I was doing it. I'm talking about social media. Okay. That seemed really dramatic. But I want to address this today. A lot of people I know check their phones in bed. They invite social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is, right into bed. Now, to be clear, I hold no judgment here. Like I said, I did this myself for a long time. But I want to just get curious and bring your attention to something that might be happening. So if the last thing you look at, the last thing you absorb, the last thing that you pay attention to is social media, is something on Facebook where somebody said something, outrageous, or a comment on Instagram that was really hurtful, or maybe it was that triggering TikTok. Whatever it is, that's the last thing that you took in before you went to sleep. Is it affecting your sleep? Is it affecting how you feel when you fall asleep? And is that in turn affecting how you sleep and how you wake up? Now, there's a whole other side issue here with how much time we spend on our phones and blue light and all of that. And I'll just make a note that in the show notes, I love my blue light glasses from Miss Sunshine Shades. They have unisex line, great designs, really comfortable. I wear them all the time because blue light is definitely zapping that melatonin and making it hard to fall asleep. So if we're going to be on our phones, why not at least put our blue light glasses on? If you go in the show notes, I have a discount code and the link to their website. Now, that's a whole other issue, but what I'm talking about is how it affects you emotionally, how it affects you psychologically. What's happening if that's the last thing you absorb? Now, you could even look at it from, what does it mean if it's the first thing you absorb in the day? You roll over, grab your phone, and hop right on social media, again, still with your head on your pillow. I know it's more common these days. I know that it happens, but I'm wondering, is it serving you? Is it really the best thing to do right before bed, right when you wake up? I can tell you from personal experience, I know the contrast. I was on social media up until going to bed, and now, gosh, it's probably an hour, sometimes more, and I don't get back to people. I don't check anything. Heck, there could be like a major news event, and I just wouldn't know because I really don't even go on my phone. So I suspected that the social media was affecting my mood, my sleep, how I was waking up. So I just did what any good scientist does. I created a hypothesis and I tested it. It was absolutely clear the difference. I mean, I could not deny what it had been doing and what it felt like not to have that phone tethered to me, that social media as the last thing I absorbed for my day. Recently, I was getting ready to get into bed and I thought I had, closed all my apps. What happened was when I turned my phone on, Instagram was open. And immediately something caught my attention, whatever was right on the screen. And I'm like, wow, I'm going to want to respond to this. I'm going to just want to say something. And I know that that's not the way I want to go to sleep. It's not who I want to invite into my bed. One thing I suggest to my clients who struggle with sleep is the idea of a power down hour. Now, not everyone can start with an hour of, I'm going to stay off my phone, off electronics, off everything before bed. So they start with 15 minutes, they increase to 30, and eventually they start to see the benefits of not being on electronics before bed. Now, again, I do believe there's something with blue light. The amount of exposure that we have over the course of a day is really affecting our sleep, and it can really be negatively impacting your ability to fall asleep. However, I think we're underestimating what information we are absorbing and taking in before we go to bed. I don't think we're thinking about who we are inviting into our bed before we go to sleep. So you could take a moment and think about the last things you see on social media if you've invited it into your bed. Who did you invite? Was it something political? Was it a negative message? Was it a person that you don't even know, like an absolute stranger on the internet in your bed? I know this might seem like a totally radical idea because we believe we need to have our phones on and with us all the time, because it's become so commonplace and accepted that you check your phone before you go to bed. But what if that's not helping you? What if that's actually doing harm to you, harm to your sleep, harm to how you feel about yourself before you go to bed? What if that is affecting the next day, how you wake up, your morning routine? Just take a moment. This is an opportunity to get curious, an opportunity just to reflect on how is this showing up for you? Maybe you want to create a hypothesis and test it. Maybe you want to see, is there a contrast? Is there a difference? Maybe that's just for Jen. Jen can't handle social media before bed, but I'm fine. Test it. See what comes up for you. Maybe even taking that moment to reflect on who you have invited into bed might be that whoa moment. I didn't even think of that. All right, this episode was short and sweet, but I think directly to the point and gives you something to really think about and maybe even test out. If you do test it, if this really has been a game changer, if you notice that contrast, send me a line. I would love to hear how this showed up for you. You can always send an email to the podcast. It's podcast@healthcoachforlife.com. So podcast@healthcoach4life.com. I also want to invite you that if there's a topic you want covered on the podcast, go ahead and shoot me an email. I'm here to serve you on this podcast. Yeah, there's certain things I love talking about, but I also love showing up in a way that serves you best. All right, short and sweet. Enjoy your sleep. Until next week.